Drives one in the air. Deep right field. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Way back it might be. It could be. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. Holy cow.
The Dingers podcast is on the air. I want to first start out and say that we are proud to be part of the On Tap Sports Network. So make sure you're checking out ontapsportsnet.com for all your latest in Chicago news, whether that's Bulls, Blackhawks, Bears, Cubs, and White Sox, of course, our Cubs. But I'm here with Jeffrey. Jeff, how's it going on this Monday? The last Monday of January. It's crazy. We're into February. Baseball's soon to be here.
Yep, just a couple more weeks, pitchers, catchers, report. So, fantastic Monday. I got to go back to work today. It was great. Spent the last 3 months at home, entertaining myself. It was fabulous, the kind of stuff. I had to remember it, like, during the day that I couldn't just take my pants off when I felt like it. I had to stay fully clothed all day long.
I mean, you could have just tested it out, see the reactions.
Just wondered if anybody noticed.
Yeah. Well, the Cubs finally made a significant move to the roster. It might not be the big splash that everyone was hoping for, but it does drastically improve their bullpen as a result. So we'll be digging into just the Cubs bullpen. That's what this episode is going to be about as we lead into the season. They signed Hector Neris. They got the guy that I predicted. I think I said it back in October on our final episode of like the season, a recap, and like, okay, what should we do for next year? And I think I put him as like a target. Like that would be a great bullpen add to this bullpen. Great 8th inning guy. If you remember, he pitched for the Phillies back in the day. I remember he was a closer for the Phillies and brings a ton of energy, but filled a hole that this bullpen obviously had with Michael Fulmer going down, injury. He won't be able to pitch this year. And so they needed to fill his innings, and they needed to get a quality arm. Jed said that he was looking to get a quality arm in that bullpen, and they definitely got him. So Hector Neris is signed, but Will was taking a big deep dive into the bullpen and what we expect to kind of see how it plays out this year. So,
yeah. So, Mitch, tell me, who's our long guy going to be?
Long guy. See, that's it's fun when we dig into this because the Cubs rotation is so deep. I think spring training is going to find out, and I think that guy's going to change throughout the year. When you look at our rotation, and we have guys like Smiley, like Hayden Wesneski, like Javier Assad, those guys, Jordan Wicks, who are going to be fighting for a last spot in the rotation. One of those guys is going to obviously filter in to be the long guy. Smiley, we saw towards the end of last year be a starter at the beginning and then towards the end, but he wasn't really a long guy. He wasn't the guy that filled like a 3-inning spot. It was more that he was coming in certain places where they saw left-handers in the lineup where he could dump in that curveball and get some guys out and be a little bit off speed, or they paired him with certain guys to be able to kind of counter what they were doing. So I don't know. I could see it being Drew Smiley, but I also could see where Hayden Wesneski gets that role. Hopefully he takes a big step forward in his development where he can find his role in this team. Cause I think right now he hasn't been there. He doesn't know where he kind of fits. And so if Hayden Wesneski can be that guy that can fill the 2 innings on when our starter does have a struggle and doesn't make it past the 3rd, that he can eat up some innings. Right. So what are your thoughts? What do you think?
It's gonna really take a little bit of time because, like in spring training, the guys aren't getting like a ton of reps out there during games. They might get like an inning or 2 here and there. So to really know what you got, it's going to be until after the season starts. Like, I really do like Smiley in the long reliever spot. I mean, I know he had some good years, a good year and a half as a starter for the Cubs, but then he kind of lost a little bit. But I think he found his niche last year when he kind of stepped in that long reliever bullpen role. I do like the fact that we do have a Hayden Wesneski who does have starting experience, but also he's kind of a little bit better coming out of the bullpen. I know he didn't meet my expectations when he started as a starter last year, but I think once he got out there and he calmed down, like he got better.
Yeah, and let's just take a quick look at who we have as bullpen arms. Can we do that quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so like, you got Adbert Alzolay, Merriweather, Leiter, Smiley, Almonte, who we got from the Dodgers in the trade, Palencia, Luke Little, Hector Neris, and then you have Wesneski, Thompson, Quas, Rucker, and maybe Caleb Killian if he ever comes up. I don't know if he's still going to be a starter if they're projecting him to be a starter, or could they funnel him in to a bullpen arm. But there's kind of what we have so far. And you look at that, and there's only 2 lefties in there. And if we have Drew Smiley being the long guy, I think there's still a hole in this bullpen where we need to go out and get a lefty arm.
Who would you like him to get? Is Wandy still on your want list?
Yes.
Wandy Peralta.
Damn. Wandy Peralta is still on my.
He's probably one of the better left-handers still available.
I mean, he's coming off the best 3 seasons of his career so far. Like, with his numbers with the Yankees, with the Giants. I mean, his 2023 campaign, like 63 appearances, a 2.83 ERA, 51 strikeouts, 30 walks, held batters to a 0.19 or batting average in 54 innings. Like, the dude ranked in the 94th percentile in ground balls. And like, you look at our infield, like that's what we want. We want guys to beat it at the ground because we have an amazing infield that can go get anything that's hit on the ground. So I would love to see them go get Wandy Peralta. And if you want more on Wandy Peralta, OnTapSportsNetwork.com just released an article on Wandy Peralta and why the Cubs should go get him. Tyler wrote it. It's awesome. So go check that out. But yeah, Wandy Peralta would, I think, be a great fit into this bullpen. I think he would fill a need in. What's crazy is, so I've kind of taken a look at last year's Cubs bullpen and how they ranked. And when I look at last year's just bullpen, you know who had the lowest ERA out of all bullpens in baseball last year?
The Cubs?
No. It was the New York Yankees, where Wandy Peralta pitched. Second was the Milwaukee Brewers, which Craig Counsell was a part of. The Cubs were like 16th. So Jesus. the best ERA was 3.34 ERA. Cubs had a 3.85. So not too bad. But when I look at WHIP, the Dodgers had the best bullpen WHIP of 1.17. Then it was Tampa. Then it was the Brewers again. Brewers are kind of hanging top 3 in like almost all bullpen stats. The Cubs were, for WHIP, in 18th at a 1.29 WHIP.
So is your expectation, seeing how we have Craig Counsell as a manager, is your expectation that our bullpen is going to be like a lockdown bullpen?
I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to be better managed. I wasn't on the I hate David Ross train, but I think at times he struggled managing the bullpen. But that's what like this signing of Hector Neris does. Like, if you are another arm in that bullpen, you breathe a little bit of sigh of relief knowing that we have another dude down there that, one, can eat innings, can get guys out, and can sometimes come in and save my butt because he's that good. And he's been that quality of a guy in a bullpen that we've needed. So like, Last season, Hector Neris made 71 appearances, threw 68 and 1/3 innings, allowed just 41 hits, posted his best career ERA of 1.71. He also recorded 31 holds. Like, it was by far the best season of Hector Neris's career. Now, some would say you don't really want to buy on the high,
right?
Because there might be a little bit of downfall, a little bit of backtracking.
We bought a little bit on the low. I mean, we signed Carl Edwards Jr. to a minor league deal this week.
That's true.
Former Cub.
One of two now that hold a 2016 ring.
Yeah.
Did you know that we won the World Series in 2016? Yeah.
Yeah, ended a drought 8 years ago.
So but like the Hector Neris, when you look at the bullpen and you ask like about my confidence in this bullpen, and my confidence is, so you have Adbert Alzolay as our closer last year towards the end, like second half of the season. I do get a little concerned with Alzolay's health. Like, he seems to be injured quite a bit. Not last year, but the year before, injured for most of the season. This year, towards the end of the season, experienced some arm issues that popped up. Back when he was a starter, he experienced some arm issues. So like, these things keep popping up. I think the biggest thing for this season is being able to manage innings for him. You saw the same thing with Michael Fulmer. Pitched a lot, got hurt towards the end of the season. The big one you saw was Mark Leiter Jr., who just pitched a lot of innings. And so by the end of the season, his arm was shot. He had nothing. He didn't have the same stuff that he had during the months of August, September, July, that like really carried us to get us back on track and back in the playoff hunt. But I still have confidence that Merriweather, Alzolay, and then you throw Hector Neris in there from the 7th inning on, when healthy. Those are some of the 3 best bullpen guys you can have towards the end of the game coming in.
So, I don't know. I think the arm barn and being somebody that lives in the arm barn has got to be the hardest part about baseball.
Oh,
I mean,
without a doubt.
For like, relief pitchers are like medicine that's prescribed to you by your doctor. Used in the right way, good things will happen. But incorrectly used, bad things are going to happen.
Yep. I mean, like, when you saw early in the career of Alzolay and like trying to find out where he fit, whether it's a starter or whether it's a long reliever, it just quite wasn't working out. But now he's kind of found his role, and now he can let it eat, and you can just one inning go all out, and like you see it being effective. So my only concern with Alzolay is just health. Like, can he manage 162 and stay healthy? Because we need him. The one good thing is when you look at this bullpen, and there might be even more down in Iowa that could still come up and provide innings in this bullpen, but they are pretty deep. They are deeper than last year. The big question will be is, can we have quality arms towards the end stretch that Council can trust? Because I don't think last year, towards the end of the season, there wasn't a lot of arms left with Fulmer going down, with Leiter not having it, with Alzolay going down, Quas pitching every single day, rain or shine, pitching every single day. Like,
right. He rode the performers until they didn't have nothing left. Yeah. And then it was kind of like a mix and match, throw a dart, send somebody out there.
So, but that's where Hector Neris, like, he's been a consistent guy that has been healthy, has eaten a lot of innings, and pitched quality baseball. That's what that does.
Do you feel like we're going to start the season with a bullpen that's as stacked as Dolly Parton?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. Like last year, starting the season, I think the bullpen was still trying to find their roles. Like
Role.
Michael
Yeah.
Fulmer was our closer, and then he became our like 6th inning guy.
Right.
And then he became the long guy, and then he got moved to like the 8th, and like then he found a spot. Like it took like almost till August before we kind of got solidified of their roles and where they were at. I think now, like heading into the season, their roles are pretty well defined going in, which I think that's going to make a huge difference, especially in those close games at the beginning of the season.
So you talked a lot about Hector and Adbert, and we've talked about Drew and Mark Leiter Jr. Where do you see Yancey Almonte fitting into the scheme of things?
I feel like he's like the perfect Tommy Hotovy guy. Like I feel like that was a trade that Tommy Hotovy is like, no, I want this guy, because I feel like he's gonna work Almonte in probably in really low leverage situations to start the season. But I feel like him and Quas are going to work off of each other. Quas with a little bit of a funky arm delivery. And then you bring in Almonte. So like they could be like the 6-7 guys, or depending on matchups. I could see them working around there.
So, okay. I still can't. Every time you say Quas, all that pops in my head is QS. I don't know why this happens. So you talk about Tommy Hotovy as the pitching coach. Is he like the one coach that you hope that Craig Counsell would retain onto the staff?
Yeah, when Craig Counsell came on, I was hoping that Hotovy was kept on, just because you've seen what he's done with the bullpen, and you have to give a little bit of credit where credit's due. Like Jed Hoyer has put together some pretty good bullpens. Going getting 1-year deals with guys and putting together some decent bullpens. Last year, it took some time, but we finally got to see the bullpen that Hoyer put together. And Carter, I feel like Carter's probably making a huge difference too. But like, I do like how they've developed guys. Like they have developed Adbert Alzolay into a surefire closer. They've developed even Mark Leiter Jr. Like people forget that we DFA'd Mark Leiter Jr. and signed him back last year on a minor league deal, and then he worked his way back in. Like that's development, right? We developed him, and we have these guys, young guys, who I'm excited to see develop. Like Luke Little, I think he's going to be the lefty out of the bullpen that's going to probably get a ton of innings, and we saw a little glimpse of what he could do last year. He's a high strikeout guy. We've been looking for guys that can strike people out in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. He's a guy that like that lefty, big dude, throw gas and get people out. So in him, and then Daniel Palencia, I want to see him make a huge step forward, and that's going to be all on Tommy Hotovy and the development that he can do with those young guys.
So how do you feel about Keegan Thompson going into this season? Like, because he was our guy at the beginning of the year, and then he regressed because of the arm injury, like the forearm strain or whatever it was.
I have about as much trust in Keegan Thompson as I do in my son when I tell him to go brush his teeth and get ready for bed, that he will actually brush his teeth, which is
not good, folks. That's not good.
Not good. Without me reminding him.
If you're a parent, you already know your kid's just running the toothbrush under the faucet and putting it back.
Yeah. So yeah, like I don't have now. Could we get the old Keegan Thompson back? Yeah, we could. I would love that.
Oh, yeah,
I don't see him starting the year with the Cubs. Or I could possibly see if once they bring on Neris and actually officially sign him, or officially go get another lefty, that either him or one of the other guys gets DFA'd.
Gotcha.
I could see that happening.
Yeah. Is this the only season going in, like coming out of the season and coming into a new season where you didn't like get a peptic ulcer, like worrying about like bullpen arms.
Yeah, but I still knew that they have to go out there and get some guys. Like,
Right, like it wasn't perfect, but it's not like they had to fill an entire boat of people to row this thing across the English Channel.
yeah.
I
mean,
mean
and you have to feel better with this bullpen knowing that Craig Counsell is managing the pen a little bit. Like he's had one of the best bullpens in baseball for how many years, and has he had the guys there in Milwaukee? Yes, he's had dudes.
Like, he had
had
great starting pitching, great, like Josh Hader's ridiculous. I mean, he had a hell of a good run in Milwaukee, but I don't know. I guess I was on the same like train as you was. Like, I didn't hate on David Ross, but for a first-time manager to manage an entire 162 ball games, it's hard. And to manage all those people coming and going every season.
Yeah.
I just think that like Craig Counsell has just proved himself so many years in Milwaukee that like we don't have like as much worry with our armbar as we used to.
Yeah, and Darren in the comments brings up Quas. Like, I loved what Quas provided at the trade deadline. Like, I feel like that was a win for the Cubs, even though we lost a dude that's going to hit a lot of home runs in Nelson Velasquez. I still like Quas because he funky delivery, a little bit different. I was listening to a podcast that was talking about the Rays and how they build their bullpen, and they build their bullpen around guys that can do something different. Everybody has to either have a different arm slot, throw a couple different pitches, lefty, righty, different arm slots with lefty, righty. Like, there has to be something special about each one that does a little bit different to give a different look, because you're only seeing them one inning. And so they need to see something different. And so Quas brings that to the Cubs, and I think with Tommy Hodby has found out how to use him. Now, the problem last year was once they got him, they used him every single game he was in there at some point. So it's like, like when we're up by a good amount, let's not throw in Quas. Let's see what Hayden Wesneski can do in those like really low leverage situations, or put in Keegan Thompson in those, or Michael Rucker. I mean, Michael Rucker had a good stretch there for a while during the season where he was lights out, but I still don't trust him. I don't know. I think it's his face. I don't trust. He doesn't have a trustable face. You're looking at, I don't know. I don't know there, Michael, and I just don't trust you.
Yeah, there's sometimes I'd change the channel for a little while, and then I'd switch back to see either if he got out of it or if there was just a bunch of more runs on the board. Like, I couldn't watch it. Like that train wreck, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I do want to see Julian Merriweather. Like, I remember last year at the beginning of the season, we were all kind of frustrated with Merriweather because we could see he had the stuff, but he wasn't getting the results. And then kind of found his niche there in the 7th, and then he was lights out, especially when he was paired with Michael Fulmer when it was 7-8 and then Elsley 9. Like, he was lights out and provided a ton of innings, and kind of gave you a little sense of like, all right, we can cruise for 2 innings. I don't need to get super anxious. And I think he's going to do the same thing when now paired with Hector Neris.
Yeah. I know. I'm really excited for the season to start to see how that's all is going to shake out. I mean, it seems like the first month of the season is just trying to figure things out, see where people fit. But I think there's some big question marks that that aren't question marks anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we still have some question marks. Like, we did fill one of the holes that we talked about 2 episodes ago. That there's a hole in center. There's a hole at third base. We filled the hole at first with Michael Bush. I mean, I'd say third base is more of a question mark because we have guys that can play there, but do we want them or do we want to go get Matt Chapman or whatever? And then we had like a lefty guy in the bullpen, and we had a dude that we wanted to go get in the bullpen, a guy that could like, and we got that guy. We got the dude. I still think we need a lefty, and we need to get somebody for first or for third base. You want to know what I think is going to happen?
Yes, Mitch. Please tell me your thoughts, dreams.
I think that we're going to sign Matt Chapman. I think they're going to pass on Cody Bellinger. And then I think they're going to make a trade for another starting pitcher and either get Shane Bieber or get Dylan Cease.
So is Mike Tauchman going to play center field?
Well, I think they're going to start the year with Tauchman, but then fully give it to PCA.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trusting Michael Busch, who has raked in the minors, but they're trusting him opening day to be the first baseman. I think they're ready to like let these young guys go and pray and hope that Happ, Horner, and Swanson and Seiya carry our offense. So, and I just saw that Boob Nightingale, the great
it's got a
beat reporter, just said that Cody Bellinger has not received any offers as of yet.
Well, that he knows of.
Boris just ain't telling him.
Yeah, like how?
But he hasn't. They said that no team has given anybody a formal offer sheet. Scott in the comments says that Dinger's Cubs is going to receive a lot of hate tweets. Dude, I'm not saying I don't want Cody Bellinger back. I just think that's how it's going to play out. I could see it playing out that way. As the old Cubs game is on in my background and Cody Bellinger is up to bat.
Well, okay. Look at it like 2016 when we didn't really have a center fielder, and then first day of spring training, Dexter Fowler walks into the room.
I mean, maybe that'll happen.
It might be a 25th hour decision by the Cubs if they actually do anything.
I don't know if it's Scott Boras. It's like opening day. Bellinger shows up at Wrigley.
Hey, where's my locker?
Or shows up in Texas because we're playing Texas. Yeah. I could see that happening.
Like the oddity of me is like when there's a big free agent like Cody Bellinger and some of the other bigger free agents of seasons past. Like the first thing I look up is who their agent is, and if it's Scott Boras, I'm like, oh fuck, he's got to be the shittiest agent for fans.
Everybody that's left in free agent is a Boras. It's like a Boras client. So
yeah,
I don't know, but yeah. So that's how I think it's going to play out. I just want something to happen, but I don't see it with Bellinger. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I think it's going to be pushing right up to spring training before he makes a decision. So 3 weeks, I bet it's going to be about 3 weeks away before.
I think if you get Bellinger, I think it makes it harder to sign another lefty in the bullpen. You know what I mean? It's just going to take a ton of cash.
Yeah. And I do like, we are way under the luxury tax where we could go and get a Bellinger. I think we're like, it was like 56 where we could sign a Bellinger and lefty arm and still be just closer right over without getting other guys.
Right.
But yeah, I wanted this episode to just be about the bullpen, and we covered the bullpen pretty well. I'm excited to see this bullpen work and then work together. I think there's a lot of complementary pieces that can feed off of one another, and a lot of like guys that can work off of one another. I do want to look a little bit at Quas's pitches. So he throws a four-seamer, a split finger, a sinker, and a slider. So four-seamer 51% of the time. He throws a lot of fastballs. And then a split finger fastball, like off of that.
Oh, it's Hector's pitches, not Quas's.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, did I say Quas? I mean Hector's pitches. And then a sinker and a slider. Slider he doesn't throw too often, only 3% of the time, but it's I love the signing. I'll be interested to see how they use him. Like what his pitches, what Hottovy will have him throwing in certain situations. He loves throwing the fastball, throws that 51% of the time. So I'll be interested to see if that changes. If he'll be sticking with that sinker to work off the fastball. I know Neris loves to throw the sinker off the fastball and work up in the zone with the fastball and then get him low with the sinker. So I'm just throwing a video right now of Neris just mowing guys down. But I love the emotion. What he shows, just like right there. Huge emotion, huge electric guy that we love on the bullpen. You got to be a little crazy in the head to be an 8th inning, 9th inning guy. And that's a perfect signing for the Cubs. It's a perfect fit that we need. Because when you look at like our bullpen, besides Alzolay, there's any of those guys that are fire down there. And you need some crazy dudes down there. So I love it. I love getting Hector Neris. Thought it was a great signing. I called my shot way back in October, and then I did it again in December. So you can thank me because I think Jed, he checks out our Twitter quite often, and he was like, "Oh, great idea, Mitch.
I should listen to these guys.
I'm going to go check in with Hector Neris' agent right now." And I mean, it just took some time for him to like work out all the details, get the paperwork sent back and forth, but you can thank me. So yeah. All right. Well, that does it for our episode. We want to keep it short and sweet and just talk about the bullpen. Cubs baseball will be here. Pitcher catchers report in 3 weeks, and can't wait. Can't wait to watch some baseball. I've been missing some baseball. And it's like now that like football's almost over, Super Bowl here's coming up, which we'll say go 49ers.
Technically, there's 2 football games left. If you want to count the Pro Bowl,
nope, doesn't exist.
People only going to watch the last big game of the season.
Yeah,
something that matters.
Not a flag football game. But that does it for episode 142 of the Dingers podcast. Make sure you're checking out our Twitter at Dinger Cubs or X and follow us there. Checking out Cubbies on Tap, our friends at Cubs on Tap podcast. They're doing great work. And as well, make sure you're checking out On Tap Sports Network for the best in Chicago sports news. So thanks for listening, and go Cubs.
Go Cubs.